Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. Today we're going to talk about how a narcissistic relationship gets paced, like how quickly it moves, particularly initially. Before I get to that though, just want to sort of, as always, ask you, please tune in to my new podcast, Navigating Narcissism. You can get the details in the video notes, and you can listen and subscribe anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. But let's go back to this idea of relationship pacing. So, if you are in or have been in a narcissistic relationship, particularly an intimate, romantic relationship with a narcissist, do you feel that your relationship moved too slow or too fast in the beginning? Drop that in the comments if you want. Was it too slow or too fast? I'm guessing it's going to see a lot of too fast down there. And I got to say, though, I'm guilty of saying that narcissistic relationships always move too fast. Ultimately, narcissistic relationships move at the pace that the narcissist wants. Now, fast is more common because of dynamics such as control, trauma bonding, and them needing supply. Remember, too, that narcissistic people are prone to jealousy and struggle with abandonment fears. So the sooner they can lock a relationship down and get someone to live with them or get engaged or even get married, they may very well do so, because then there is less of a likelihood that the new partner will be able to as easily leave the relationship, and then the narcissistic person can relax and not have to work so hard to win over or keep the new partner. It's easier for you to leave if you're not trapped through a shared residence or any kind of financial dependency. Narcissistic relationships may move quickly because they may even encourage someone to become financially dependent on them. Even though this tends to be a pattern we tend to see more often in more severe relationships characterized by coercive control. Now, fast also works to a narcissistic person's advantage because you may start committing into a relationship before you see red flags. They can only do the love bombing, pseudo empathy for so long before they simply can't manage it anymore. I remember once talking with a very narcissistic guy. His whole angle was he wanted to be with very beautiful younger women because they made him look good or feel good. And then he would try in these relationships to try to get them to move into his home as soon as possible, because he believed then it would be less likely that they would cheat, projection, and then he would also purchase them an expensive engagement ring pretty early in, which he would present on a grandiose vacation with this grandiose proposal. He often would say that he had no intention of marrying these women, but that he wanted the ring on their hand to be a public declaration that she was engaged and that other people would step back. I felt very sorry for this guy. And in a way, these women had their own angle. It was sort of a mutually parasitic relationship. But sometimes people will recall their narcissistic relationship as moving too slow. Promises would be made about, we're gonna move in and we're gonna get married and have kids, but it wouldn't happen. The narcissistic person would take their time and wouldn't want a shared residence or wouldn't want to level up the commitment. Again, this might be because the narcissistic person didn't want to do the work of a committed relationship, or they wanted it to be easier for them to be able to stray with other partners, or they didn't want to risk their finances. Now, the other person in the relationship would find this maddening and would find themselves fighting to make the relationship take off. But in their obsession to do that, I gotta make him commit to me or her commit to me, they'd be missing the red flags. By being cagey and withholding, narcissistic people can really mess with people's trauma bonds. And people may find themselves fighting to level up the narcissistic relationship and make it work so they could forestall the feelings of a rejection and abandonment for themselves and kind of get this relationship to be more serious and committed. Now, whether fast or slow, narcissistic relationships proceed at the pace that the narcissistic person wants. If they are moving fast and you ask them to slow down, then they will doubt your commitment to the relationship and wonder, maybe you aren't really that interested in a relationship. If you are interested, but you just think it's moving too fast, you may relent and go along because you actually do want a relationship, just not this fast. If they are moving too slow and you keep asking them to commit, then they know they have you, and you're sticking around and agreeing to their slow pacing is almost an unspoken acknowledgement that you'll put up with whatever they do. And you may also find yourself in a future fate situation in which they may keep making promises about what is going to happen in a certain period of time, and you may just keep waiting and waiting as those goalposts keep moving, and they feel emboldened to do so. Just as the narcissistic partner sets the emotional thermostat for the relationship, so too do they set the pace of the relationship, especially in the beginning. Be prepared for that, because I don't want you to think, whoa, this relationship's moving really slow, so it can't be a narcissistic person. It most definitely can. It's just about being open to seeing the red flags, acting on those red flags, and not allowing the pacing to confuse you. Red flag's a red flag, moving fast, moving slow. Either way, you don't want to either find yourself in the rush of it all, missing the red flags, or in the fight to level it up, missing the red flags. Pay attention to those, and if you don't like the pace and you're being gaslighted when you bring that up, that right there is another really big red flag. Thanks again.